This is the Bill Sebastian Show on News Talk 1150 WHBY. Be part of the program by calling 281-1150 in Appleton, 271-1150 in Green Bay, and toll free at 866-887-1150. Now, here's Bill.
Good morning and welcome back. Stock market still settling back a little bit from its pretty solid opening. The Dow Industrial is still up with 36 points now, and the NASDAQ has gone completely flat. Joining us in studio this morning to talk about the Oaklawn referendum, which is of particular interest to people down in Oshkosh, Liz Lynch. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning.
Liz is a parent of a first grader?
Parent of a first grader at Oaklawn, yes.
And Principal Scott Johanknecht. How did I do in the pronunciation, Scott?
That was exactly perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for having us here.
Now, Scott wants to make sure that everybody understands that Scott is not here as an advocate. That would be, what, unethical?
Politically unethical.
Yeah, and so he is here to provide information, not to provide any kind of guidance about whether you ought to vote for or against the referendum coming up. Earlier this week, Dr. Susan May, the president of Fox Valley Technical College, was here to talk about the FVTC referendum that will also appear on Tuesday's ballot. Let me start out by asking you a couple of the same questions I asked her, okay?
Sure.
For starters, our economy is still suffering from the worst recession since the Great Depression. Why can't you wait until the recession is completely over before asking voters to spend or invest money in Oaklawn Elementary School? Why now? Why does it have to be right now?
It has to be right now because right now the condition of the school is so bad that it's affecting the education our students are receiving. The roof leaks. There are holes in the siding. So waiting longer would mean the district putting money into a school that would still be educationally inferior to other schools. If they patched the roof, if they put new siding in, it would be a waste of our taxpayers' money because inside of the school it would still be cramped with small spaces and the kids wouldn't be getting the education they deserve.
They were patching just a little bit earlier this school year, weren't they?
Yes.
There was a lot of news coverage on that, and I'm not sure that the television did it justice when showing the leaks. How bad were the leaks? Am I correct that actually you had to abandon a couple of classrooms because of the leaks?
We did. I had a teacher that came to me shortly after 8 o'clock when students were in the room, and we had a few drips in the corner of the room, and I asked her to keep me informed about the situation. She came back to me about 30 minutes later, said, we have a few more drips. I visited, and I said, keep me informed. She came back an hour after the initial start, and it was all over the room. Every corner, right through the middle of the room, and the frequency and intensity was such that it really did look like it was raining in the classroom.
And how long were you out of those classrooms?
We were out of the rooms 2 days.
And then they patched it?
They worked on patching
or did it just freeze up?
Nope. They got up on the roof. There was some melted slush up there that they had to shovel off. But at that time, we already had water that had seeped in underneath that liner that we have on top of the roof, and then needed to wait for that water to continue to drain. But students were also out of the classroom because we had a structural engineer come in, and they wanted to check the integrity of the roof. The school is 60 years old. It was built as a 10-year solution and still stands there today. And there were concerns that after 60 years of continual leaks, there might be some structural questions.
And by structural questions, do you actually mean the roof caving in?
There was a concern for that because there wasn't known how much water over the years had come in and if any damage had been done, what was the condition of the material.
And what did they find? Is it in perfect condition? Is it in questionable condition? What condition did they find it to be in?
The structural engineer in the report indicated that at this time it is structurally sound.
Okay.
He did say that the roof will continue to leak, that although it's structurally sound, which I'm happy it's not going to fall in on my son's head or any other children and teachers in that area. However, it will continue to leak as it ages again and more rain and more snow continually sit on top of the building.
It's raining today and pretty hard this morning. Do you have any problems there today?
There are a few areas in some windows with some seals that we've had in some of the classrooms, as well as the gym every now and then, where we do have some water coming in, but not as a direct result of the roof situation, but more of windows and other areas.
Has a firm decision been made not to put any more money into repairs?
Yes, it was a few years back that, as many as 5 or 6 years ago, that there was a decision made that at this time, putting more money into that school without a long-term decision of what the plan would be, just with all the other needs throughout the district, was not a wise decision.
News Talk 1150 WHBY. We're talking with Liz Lynch, a parent of a first grader at Oak Lawn in Oshkosh, as well as the principal there, Scott Johanknecht, who once again is providing information, not opinions, we're told this morning. And of course, you're always welcome to join the conversation if you'd like to in Appleton and the Fox Cities. Call us at 281-1150. From farther away, the TDS Metrocom line is 866-887-1150. So they've decided not to put more money into major repairs. So what happens next if the roof starts to leak again?
At that time, we would have to have a plan in those classrooms where we are having difficulty. If it was much like the situation where it was too disruptive to be in the classroom, we would have to be off-site. We do have some off-site locations available, and we would need to move quickly to get those children set up and continue to receive the academic education that's planned for them in that off-site location.
And the school is how old now?
60 years. There is an original structure that was built when the area of Nordheim wanted to be annexed into the city of Oshkosh. They needed to have a school, so the community decided to build it. And the exterior was built by contractors, but the interior was actually finished off by the people of the community. And it still sits as it was built at that day. There is an 18-year-old addition section that was put on. But it is the original structure.
Is it big enough to handle the number of students you have in 2012? I mean, I heard a rumor that a year or two ago that the music room was actually a shopping cart that the music teacher would push from one room to the other. Is that correct?
That is correct. And also the art was held in the gym at one point, and there was some difficulties there because as students worked on their projects, when there would be soccer or basketball played in the gym, their art projects would get ruined. So they decided to switch it around and have art in a classroom and have music on a cart going door to door. The difficulty with that is bringing all the materials along, xylophones, cymbals, whatever that music teacher wanted to teach that day, and be able to set that up and then pack it back up, go to the next classroom. It makes it very difficult.
Is this impacting the education of the students, or is this just cosmetic?
They're receiving a different education compared to every other child in the city of Oshkosh. I say that for quite a few reasons. Number one, the library at Oak Lawn has minimal books compared to every other school. It's about 1/3 the size it should be for that size of a school. And we don't have enough room for books. So when we get new books into the school, we have to actually give away the old books. So number one, they have less resources.
Yeah, hold on. You need to repeat that again. When you get new books,
they have to take.
This is the library we're talking about?
Correct.
Has to give away the old books because there isn't room for them all.
Exactly.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it's 3 shelves of books, no table, no chair, no space for the kids to sit down and read. It's not a library. It's 3 shelves of books. That's really what started my process of starting to talk to the school board about this, because to me, it screams to the children that reading really isn't that important. We don't need a place for you to sit down and learn. Yeah. That's a problem. But also, as far as their education, especially with the music, you see big differences compared to other schools. In our music room, there is 1 keyboard that the music teacher uses while the students watch. There just simply isn't room to store the music instruments and art because they're every other day. So you can't have everything accessible all at the same time. In other schools, they have that stuff there for the kids to be hands-on a lot more than at Oak Lawn.
We're talking with parent Liz Lynch, and really, as I understand it, one of the prime motivating forces behind the whole referendum.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
I guess so. That's what I keep hearing too. So
every time I see a report about the referendum on TV, you seem to be right in the middle of it. So
I'm willing to put my name on it. So
and also Principal Scott Johanknecht on News Talk 1150 WHBY. We're talking about the Oak Lawn referendum. Of course, your phone calls are always welcome at 281-1150. and 866-887-1150, long distance and toll free. We'll be right back on News Talk 1150 WHBY. Good morning and welcome back. The Dow Industrial still up 28 points. The NASDAQ, though, turning negative, down 6 right now. Those phone numbers again, 281-1150, anywhere in the Appleton area. From farther away, 866-887-1150. We're talking with Liz Lynch and Principal Scott Johanknecht about the Oak Lawn referendum, Oak Lawn Elementary in Oshkosh. With Fox Valley Technical College also on the ballot this time around, do you see yourselves in competition with them for limited resources?
I don't see ourselves in competition with them. Of course, our referendum directly relates to local schools in Oshkosh that parents are going to come out and vote for this for Oak Lawn. I see Fox Valley Tech is a very good thing to do for our community all across the Fox cities, and people that are pro-education are going to see both of them as a benefit, I think.
I know you've both been working very hard on this. In your case, at least, Liz, promoting the referendum, and Scott providing information to people who want to know more about the referendum. And Liz, I hear also rumors. I know people that teach in your school system.
Uh-oh.
And they tell me that actually from time to time the pressure's been making you a little bit of an emotional wreck. Is that right? Has this been hard on you? You've been working that hard at this?
Yeah, I have. I've been talking to the school board and advocating for Oak Lawn since December of 2010. And in the meantime, there's lots of things that go on. I had a baby. There's lots of other things that happen in our lives. So all of that, in addition to fighting really hard for what you believe in, and now seeing all these people that are willing to help, it makes you emotional.
Why do you as a parent take it this seriously? Because, you got the school full of parents.
Yeah.
And they're not all taking it this seriously, are they?
No, I think that some parents are burned out. They've been trying to fight this fight for a long time. This isn't a new development at Oak Lawn. This has been going on for quite some time. But something that might make me a little bit different is that I'm from Oak Lawn, or not Oak Lawn, I'm from Oshkosh. I went to all public schools, and I really do believe that Oshkosh public schools are a great place. But right now, we've got one Oshkosh public school that isn't showing our city that it can give the great education that it should. And to me, I just feel like if our city realized what it looked like inside of there and what that building was doing, they'd make the difference. They'd make the choice. And
that's why you've been giving tours and welcoming television cameras in so that people can find out about it. Let's go to the telephones right now. Becky is standing by there. Good morning, Becky. You're on the air with Liz Lynch and Scott Johanknecht this morning.
Hi. I'm not a resident of Oshkosh, but I do have experience in the Oak Lawn School. I was a substitute teacher about 6 to 10 years ago and spent some time there. And I have to say that I absolutely loved Oak Lawn School because the staff was so welcoming and professional. They were always willing to lend a helping hand. And when I walked in there, I couldn't even begin to believe what these teachers were doing with these students with the limited resources that they have. And it was a wonderful, I'm sure it probably still is, a wonderful place to teach.
Well, how limited did it look to you, Becky? Did it look to you like it needed to be rebuilt?
The first thing that struck me when I walked in the door was that the copy machine and the teacher workroom was like right there in the hallway. They didn't have a place to make photocopies or do their cutouts, all the things that they might have available to them in a workroom. And for some reason, it rings a bell with me that the computer room was actually like a room on a cart too. They had computers on carts that would be sent around to classrooms.
Is that right?
And I did do the music teacher. I did do the music teacher on a cart thing, and it was very, very challenging. And I just want to commend, is it Liz?
Yes.
As a parent and a member of the communities for stepping forward to take the initiative on this. I think that's just really, really great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Becky.
much.
To hear.
It's News Talk 1150 WHBY 281-1150 or 866-887-1150. Is she right about the cart for the computers?
Yes, at one point, because the media center is a repurposed classroom, it's not the size of a typical media center, and because we have desktop computers set up in that room, they wanted to experiment with being able to expand the space to have for shelving for books, as well as tables for children to sit at after they've picked out a book to see if that book is a good fit for them. So they decided to have laptops in a movable cart that would go from classroom to classroom, and what they learned that the time it takes to pack up the laptops, take them to the next room, unpack them, turn them back on, allow them to get set up and going was taking away from instructional time. And then you have situations where a few of the laptops didn't get charged properly and the battery is dying out. And there were just complications with trying to do it that way.
And that's why they repurposed a classroom. Well, when you repurpose a classroom, what happens to the students who are supposed to be in that classroom?
Then you have less capacity for serving students. You're one
just
classroom,
jam
one
them into the
section
other
less.
classrooms. Listen, when we come back, I want to talk about dollars and cents and how much this whole thing is going to cost. All of those specifics when we return on News Talk 1150 WHBY. This is News Talk 1150 WHBY. I'm Bill Sebastian, talking this morning about the Oak Lawn referendum in Oshkosh with Principal Scott Johanknecht and parent Liz Lynch. Let's start off immediately by going to the telephones. Gary, you're on the air. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning, Bill, and your guests. I'm going to ask the questions, and then I'll hang up and listen. But maybe they could explain, where the location of the school is. I keep thinking a few years back where they had some mold problem on a school by Lake Winnebago over there, and south of Murdoch or something. Anyway, my question has to do, and I'm not in favor of schools being built on high water tables or wetland areas, and I'm not a fan of cinder block designs or flat roofs. And I was wondering if in your design, your architects working with you, whether you can avoid any of those problems if the site is going to contain any of those elements, and also in the design of the building. So maybe give us a location where that school is and how you're going to eliminate the flat roofs and the cinder block construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your phone call, Gary. The location right now, the school sits just to the north of the Northside Pick and Save between Viola Avenue and Linwood Avenue. And we were fortunate to have a design team consisting of city planners as well as the architects themselves.
Let me come in here with a timeout before you go to the design itself. Assuming this referendum passes, it will be reconstructed right on the same site it's on now.
Right.
It will be constructed on the site that we have right now, and
Will that require shutting down the school to reconstruct it?
Right now, the school sits in the middle of the property, running from the north to the south, the original 60-year-old structure. The 18-year-old structure then juts out to the east from that. There would be an 8-foot difference between where the original structure sits right now and where the new school would be. And the architects recommended that 8-foot difference, it had been done before, where a school had been built that close, but with this new structure being a 3-track school and being 2 stories tall, that they recommended if something were to come down or fall off the roof, that would be a hazardous situation. And they said our recommendation would be to remove the 60-year-old structure. We do have separate utilities going to the 18-year-old addition. We would be able to house approximately half the students, 130 students, for next school year while the new school is being built.
And the other half would be distributed to other schools.
They would be off-site because we don't have capacity in any of our elementary schools in order to take 130 students.
Which is going to be part of the problem that we're going to talk about in more detail here in a moment.
So we have some off-site options that we're looking at.
Let's get back to the architects and what kind of construction techniques you're going to be using if it passes.
They actually are now looking at interior pitch in order to control the water. So it's not a flat roof. It's not a pitched roof. It's interior pitch. So you're controlling that water and putting it directly where you want it to be. It's part of the architectural design.
Okay. Let's go back to the telephones again. That's Ryan on line 2. Welcome to the program, Ryan. You're on the air.
Morning, Bill. Well, first off, God bless you, Liz. Could definitely use more parents like you.
Thank you, Ryan.
It's a good time to talk about this right now with the unions and all the private vouchers in our public school system. So I think this is perfect. My question was, I just wanted to know some things of what the new school includes. Computer lab, science lab, library, books. Just some general details like that. A forecast, how long you project the school will meet your needs in that area at that location. Things like that. I'll listen off the air. Thanks.
Thanks, Ryan. And you've got some beautiful pamphlets for people to look at. How do people get a hold of these pamphlets if they want to? Or can you effectively get this information online from a website?
Yep. All the information that I have with me and all the information the district has put together is available right off the district webpage. If you Google Oshkosh Area School District, the first thing that comes up will be a large icon link to this information, and you're able to pull that up. And the district has put together factual information on what the footprint, what the school design would look like. When you talk about a referendum, you look at need, you look at affordability. That information is in there, as well as the piece on the Plan B of what would happen in the event that the referendum were to
And we
fail.
do want to get to Plan B here in a minute, but tell us in a more direct answer to Ryan's question, what are some of the features in the design that you just salivate over that you don't have now that you think you really, really need?
Can I say one thing that I think is so, well, you probably think I'm going to say the library, which I do think is a really important thing. But one of the things that Oak Lawn doesn't do right now is we cannot house any of our special needs students. And to me, that is a huge impact on families. We have families that are split, where one child attends Oak Lawn and another child has to be bused somewhere else simply because they have special learning needs that Oak Lawn can't take care of. This new Oak Lawn would be able to include all of those special needs children. So to be able to keep families together, to me, that's a huge part of this.
Okay. What else is in the plan that you like?
As Liz mentioned, the library space that's allowed there and a separate computer.
Yeah, it'll be
lab.
nice to not have to throw out the new book or the old books when the new books show up.
Yeah. And in addition to that, art and music would have separate classrooms. We have a separate cafeteria and a regulation-sized gymnasium. So having those two spaces separate allows us to offer even more after-school and weekend options for the community to utilize that space.
Are the gym and the cafeteria the same place right now?
Right now, yes. We have to stop what we're doing in physical education class, pack everything up, put it away, bring out the tables, have lunch, put the tables away, clean up, and then we can go back to having physical education classes. So that takes away from the time available for the gym to be utilized.
That sounds like 1959, doesn't it?
Which in Wisconsin can be problematic when you have cold weather outside and students can't be outside. To offer those recreational opportunities will be wonderful.
Well, what about the dollars and cents? How much is this going to cost to rebuild Oak Lawn Elementary School?
The cost of the referendum is roughly about $13 million. And to a homeowner that has a $100,000 home, which is close to the average price in Oshkosh, they'll see an increase from what they're paying right now, on average of 33 cents a month.
Okay.
For 11 years. After that, it would go back to what they're paying now. So
33 cents a month.
A month. That would be the increase as to what they're paying right now.
Yeah. $4 a year is what we're talking about.
Right.
That's the average.
And this is going to be controversial with people spending $4 a year.
Apparently.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy talk. I'm sorry for saying so. Those of you who are that cheap, I'm sorry for saying so. But you're talking about kids versus $4 a year? Please.
Right.
Please, let's get serious. How long will it take, did you say, to rebuild? It'll be during the school year, basically?
The architects said that it would be 1 year would be the plan, that throughout the summer there would be a demolition and the paperwork would be getting lined up. And by September, the ground would be dug and process under the way. They said it would take 1 year then from starting in order to have it ready to go.
Not only do you feel crowded right now, but there are new homes, new housing going up in the neighborhood, correct?
Just south of the school, across the street, there are 55 units that are being developed. And as well,
and they're already half built, aren't they?
They are. And we still have the capacity needs when Sunset Elementary School was closed, which I believe the gentleman who called earlier was referencing a school that had been closed, Gary. That, I believe, is the school that he was referring to. Those students were put at Tipler Middle School initially, and right now then they've been moved over to Reed Elementary, and Reed Elementary is above capacity. And so by building a 3-track school, right now we're a 2-track school, which means we have 2 classes at kindergarten all the way up through 2 classes 5th grade. We would become a 3-track school, and that would give us the availability to take on that additional capacity.
Okay, let's go for Plan B. Let me run through this a little bit. First of all, I know Oshkosh well enough to know that there are some people in other parts of town who really don't care about your part of town. They care about themselves and their immediate neighborhood.
Right.
So first of all, I want to ask you, what's in it for them? What happens to the other schools in Oshkosh if Oak Lawn is simply shut down? If this doesn't pass, when will Oak Lawn be shut down? What is Plan B? That whole thing, because there's a whole domino effect here, isn't there? This isn't just about Oak Lawn Elementary.
No, as Scott mentioned before, the areas that we have capacity in are in the south and west side middle schools. So if we close a school on the north side that houses 263 children, we still need room in a north side elementary school for those. So it's a domino cascading effect when these students start being bused to all of the other schools. It ends up that each school will be affected because we need those south and west side 5th graders to move into the middle schools so that we can use up. And doing this Plan B causes there to be absolutely no room for growth in our community. If a family moves into a area of town, they may not be able to go to that school that's near them, and in fact their kids may not even be able to go to the same school at all. They may have to be split. That happens right now. While we have capacity at Oak Lawn, families are moving into Oshkosh and not being able to go to the elementary school that they want to, that's close to them. And without the space that we have at Oak Lawn, it's going to become worse.
And if this referendum doesn't pass, there's just no doubt the decision's already been made. Am I correct about that? The school's going to shut down. Period.
This plan was voted on by the school board back in January. They wanted to make sure that they had a plan B, so they had a long-term strategic plan in place of what would happen in either case.
So if you're over on the west side of Oshkosh and you think everything is just cushy and beautiful over there and you don't have to worry about the people on the north side, this is going to come and affect your kids on the west side as well.
It will have an impact in the fact that the middle schools will become a 5 through 8 in order to create that capacity space at the elementary levels being a K through 4.
Okay. Anything we're leaving out here?
Well, one other thing that I wanted...
I'm still mind-boggled over this notion that we're talking about roughly $4 a year. I spent $4 on a Big Mac and fries yesterday.
Right.
And this is going to be controversial for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along that same lines, one thing to know when we look at, if you check out the PowerPoint that's available on the Oshkosh Area School District website, one of the features that we look on there is how does Oshkosh compare to other similar sized school districts, Wausau, Eau Claire, Neenah, Menasha, Stevens Point. And when you look at the financial numbers, the Oshkosh Area School District, if you have a $100,000 home, you're paying $159 less a year than if you lived in that exact same home in those other communities. That equates to $7.5 million that Oshkosh has less. And they've done a fantastic job of providing for programming for students because students in Oshkosh on average score higher than those other school districts. But because of that, we've had deferred maintenance. And the issues that we have of miles of single pane glass, and we have acres of roofs that are in need of repair, that's the fact of what the community is looking at and what do we need to do to take care of the schools.
Principal Scott Johanknecht and parent Liz Lynch talking this morning about the referendum for Oak Lawn Elementary coming up in Oshkosh on Tuesday. Good luck with